Alright guys, we are really getting into some crazy territory now. This is the Abyss AB-1266 Phi TC, a $5,000 pair of planar headphones. I'm sure you've seen this Frankenstein-looking contraption in other videos or in photos. It does indeed look as insane in real life as you think it might. It also feels a little insane. I did watch Abyss's 14-odd minute long setup video, and I still never got this thing to really fit me correctly. Maybe my head's just too tiny. I know you're saying, no, your head is large and full of hot air. It's got this really cool magnet system where you can kind of bring this ring around and lock it into place, and you can see the pads are angled, so as you move it you sort of get a different seal. And then it's got this little pivoting guy here that kind of gives you a little forward and back, and you can kind of make it wider, make it tighter. This guy is just kind of stretchy. Yeah, so anyway, you can play with all those adjustments. I did for quite a while. It still feels like a big, heavy, crazy contraption on your head until you turn it on, until you start listening, and then you just don't care. You just don't care about any of that, because from just a pure sound evaluation standpoint, I think this is probably the best pair of headphones I've ever heard. It's got this magical ability to give you detail and musicality. I feel like there's often an or there, right? There's some headphones that are fluid and just fun, and they feel really natural and alive, but you know you're kind of missing out on some detail retrieval. And then there's some other headphones that are just so good at picking every little nuance out, or maybe they're really good at staging, or or they're really wide, but they just don't feel that fluid. They don't feel that great. This headphone is both, and it's honestly got some of the best bass I've heard on anything. I mean, it is so controlled and weighty and impactful. It's just addictive. It's so good. It's so good. The imaging is crazy on this headphone too. It's like the soundstage starts like directly in the middle of your head. It's like you're inside the music, but then it just goes out, way beyond. And it is, I mean, you were really literally inside the music. It's very hard to say. I kind of think I've used up all the words to describe headphones in other videos, and everything I'm going to say now doesn't sound that dramatic. I wish I had a better way to emphasize it, because it is crazy good. Separation is great. It just feels natural, and it never gets congested. There's just always feels like there's air in the music, movement between different instruments or elements. Vocals, they sort of step forward really effortlessly. Like I like when I'm listening to a vocal track and the singer kind of comes a bit closer to you, sort of feels a bit more present, like they're singing just to you, and that is the case in this. In some headphones I feel like that's overemphasized, and then everything else sort of takes a back seat and you're kind of missing the detail there. Somehow in this headphone, the vocalist like just steps out forward, and everything else still feels balanced, and it's there, and you can hear it, focus on it if you want. There's just so much resolution in these headphones. When I go from another very good pair of planars to these, it feels like that sort of analogy of stepping up from a compressed MP3 to like a high-res FLAC, right? It just seemed, you're just like, I didn't think my DAC was this good. I didn't actually think my source was this good. There's just so much more information there that these guys are able to present. I think sometimes, all right, some criticisms. I think sometimes some higher pitched elements, like somebody just like tapping on a little cymbal, like on a hi-hat, like some of that stuff sometimes gets like too emphasized, or like, I don't want to pay that much attention to this. Both a good and a bad, I'd say, is just the impactfulness of the sound. It's got a leading edge on every note, so everything comes in really crisp, and it comes in with a lot of weight behind it, so it like crashes into the space, and then it's followed by all this heft behind it. And sometimes that can feel a little bit harsh, I think if you paired this with a very analytical DAC, you might just be like assaulted. I was using the Border Patrol, which I think is a very good pairing for this. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really engaging listen. I think a lot of times, being somebody who likes audio gear and being somebody who loves music, I sort of end up in one camp or another when I put on a pair of headphones or switch out a piece of gear. Like, am I listening to the gear or am I listening to the music? Am I being wowed by what the gear can do, or am I being, wowed by what the musicians did when they created the recording? And with this, I feel like you get to do kind of both at once, right? You're both just sort of sitting there being just blown away by how good the reproduction is, and you're also just enjoying the heck out of the music. Another, I don't know if there's a complaint, but just something that's interesting. So the cables that they include from, the JPS Labs cable, their cables, they split at the 4-pin header. So you have two long separate cables leading all the way up to the mini XLR, sort of standard mini XLRs. So just kind of more cables around, which is not super convenient in my book. Like I said, this thing it's heavy. This is all metal, heavy guy. And it's not uncomfortable. It wasn't uncomfortable to me. I wouldn't go that far, but it wasn't comfortable to me. I think, as I said, like, once you get into the listening, a lot of that stuff, those sort of niggles fade away, but it's not a perfect headphone by any stretch of the imagination. But I will say it is an amazing headphone. That detail retrieval, paired with the fluidity, paired with the weight of every element, the bass, and just how full every any instrument that is making a tone that should feel full and resonant. It was there, but without getting congested and without losing any of the sparkly little detail. It's a real treat to hear this thing. If you get to go to a show, seek out the Abyss booth and put this thing on your head, or if you happen to know anyone who owns one, which is how I'm listening to this today, not my personal copy, beg them to borrow it for a weekend and spend a little time with it, because it deserves a long listen. Or, if you did well on Bitcoin and you got some extra cash kicking around and you don't feel that $5,000 is too much to pay for headphones, then by all means, this is something you want in your collection. All right, y'all. If you enjoyed this video or any other video on the channel, please subscribe. Always really love to see those little subscriptions come in. It's fun to know that these videos are reaching some folks and people are interested in some of the same gear that I am. If you've listened to these, if you think I'm on the money or off the money in this very, very quick review of these guys, then please leave a comment. Love to hear what you think of these. Oh, here's what I will say. I forgot to talk about driving. So these things definitely like some juice. They are not that easy to drive. And I listened to them on a Vioelectric V281, which had plenty of juice because it's got this sort of pre-gain setting thing that you can crank up. So on the 3 out of 4 most cranked up, that thing had plenty of power and it was very happy. I tried them on the my Audio GD, which is, I think, rated for around like 3.5 watts, and it was comfortable, but it wasn't the best for this. And then I also listened to it on the Deckware Taboo, and it had to go pretty much full tilt to power it, but it did power it, and to me that was the best pairing. I think this thing likes tubes because it is a little bit analytical, and it just got a little more spacious when I had the right set of tubes in the Taboo to match to this. So unsurprising there. I tend to like most headphones on the Taboo more than other things, but I did want to try it on some other things that were technically more powerful to make sure I wasn't missing any of the magic. Yeah, I think we're going to leave it there. This is Signcraft, signing out.